Small town where the rivers run slow, there's a little pet shop that no one goes. With dust on the shelves and a creaky front door, I found my new friend in a cage on the floor. He's a tongue-zapping, dome-eyed, cricket-eating chameleon, with colors that blend like the sunset so serene. I pretend not to see him as he hides in his tree, but he's always watching me. Oh, why can't he just be? Tongue-tied love, oh, we're two souls who exist in this world where we pretend that we don't coexist. With a silent understanding, we're happy as can be. Me and my chameleon, oh, how we're meant to be.
The colors changing, shades rearranging like a chameleon. Always engaging, inspiration strikes out of the blue, never knowing what it'll lead me to. Madagascar calling, the unknown beckons, exploring new lands. And time for seconds through microscopes, I see a whole new view. Discovering the unseen, all the things it can do. Chameleon lights, it got me soaring high. I follow the lead, reach for the sky. Building cages, raising dogs with flowers, and my eyes so wide. Reach for the sky. Building cages, raising dogs with flowers, my eyes so wide.
Hello, Chameleon Academy. Welcome to Chameleons and Coffee. And you're saying, but Bill, where's your coffee? I'm sorry. I drank it all this morning. And so at least I have a little bit of caffeine in my system, but I can't. I apologize. And I hope you all forgive me and have coffee of your own. So, we got all sorts of people here already. Hey, Geraldine, well, wonderful to see you. Stephanie's here. Judy, James, Roxanne, Bob, Lee. Oh, Moto Nick. Oh, we got a great. Oh, Ryan. I'm glad you have a different shift. Now you can be with us. And hello, Nate. Well, all right. Obviously, we've got to start the way we start every show, and that is checking the Brevicorn eggs. I will admit that I checked them beforehand, and I am very happy. They are looking excellent. And so I am actually now going to be getting their cage ready. And this is the hatch out cage that I'm going to have, because there's only 7 eggs in here. So it's not that they're not going to get too crowded in here, but I want them to have a better way to get out. So I will put this in the hatch out enclosure, take the lid off, and the the subsequent checks are going to be when they're in their hatch out enclosure. And so get ready for that. Let's see. Now, I have something interesting. Give me a second for another check. Something very important happened yesterday. Anybody recognize these eggs? No, of course you can't tell by eggs. These are shamrock chameleon eggs. Wintergreen, if you remember, Wintergreen has been a star in many of the videos. Wintergreen laid 20 eggs. One of them it doesn't look good at all. So 19 eggs. And there they are. They're looking good. And these are so important that they are being guarded by my attack frog right there. See how ferocious he looks? He's going to be guarding these eggs. And I have most of them down here, but I put 2 of them. Let's see if you can see. You see 2 of them on the surface. And that's just as a control. Just to see the difference, if there's a difference in when they hatch. So anyway, in a very short time, I'm going to be putting them into the diapause, and so we won't be seeing them for a couple of months. And then afterwards, they're going to join us on the morning, which would be good because within 2 months, those brevicorn eggs should hatch, and so these will take over as the eggs that we check every morning. So I am very happy about that. I've been talking about the shamrocks for a long time, and so this is a huge milestone and accomplishment in my life. Obviously, the only thing that I really did in this is I just got out of the way and let chameleons do their thing. But at least I was able to do that. Okay, let's see. New haircut, yes, new haircut. The old haircut was getting in the way of my life. So I had to have a different look. Oh my goodness, we got Misty Mountain pants. That's my wifey bet. Mm-hmm. Jealous Kahuna isn't in that intro. All right, Stephanie. Well, I'm actually right now looking for. I want to do a new intro, and so for everybody out there who has a chameleon that they would allow me to use in the intro, I would love to have you send a picture of your chameleon and the name of your chameleon to that email address scrolling across there. And just let me know that this picture I have the authorization to use this picture in the intro, and I'll be putting a new one together. So Stephanie, please, I would love to have Kahuna in the next intro that I do. So now we get to check shamrock eggs. Yep. Hello, Marsha Ann. Are you making those baby brevs dizzy by moving them around? Nope. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not spinning them around, so they shouldn't have any centrifugal force. But I am not worried about that. I don't have any evidence that I should be worried about that. I don't believe it's going to make a difference. So fertile. Well, Ryan, we can hope. I don't ever get overly confident. I wait a couple of weeks before I say, okay, yeah, we've got a good clutch. So I am hoping that that they are fertile. They should be, but we shall see. Is that an Azurius on top? Yes, it is. Now it is a ceramic Azurius, so don't anybody go worrying about me keeping a dart frog in that thing. So let's see. So now we've got 2 clutches of eggs, and we can talk a little bit about eggs. If anybody has been thinking about breeding chameleons and was nervous about eggs, we can talk a little bit about, say, an intro into chameleon eggs. And if you have any questions about chameleon eggs, put them down in the chat. So let's talk about eggs. So eggs are actually pretty easy to deal with. And let me see, get a good, better look on this. The thing with eggs is it's really a lot more about patience than it being hard at all, because the eggs are meant to be laid in the earth and they're meant to survive environmental swings. I mean, it's greatly attenuated in the earth because it's got the whole sink of the dirt, but it's pretty simple. They go into the dirt and they look for environmental cues, some more than others. And there's something called a diapause, which a lot of the Kaluma, well, maybe all of the Kaluma, don't know, require. And that is a cool period to where we take them down to like 50 degrees, 60 degrees, or I think 50 degrees is. We haven't figured out exactly what it has to be down to and what is too warm. And so, yeah, still working out all the details, but it has to have a cool down. And that's to simulate the dry season in Madagascar, which is a cold season. And so the eggs start attuning to the seasons. And you'll notice you can, breeders will use the diapause to reset and get the eggs timed properly, so you can at least try to control when the eggs will hatch. And so they spend a couple of months in a cool period, and then you bring them back up to whatever temperature you want to incubate them at. And some species are more touchy than others. Something like a veiled chameleon or a panther chameleon is actually quite easy. They don't need a diapause, although some people do diapause the panther chameleons. It is a common practice to just put the eggs in your closet or under the bed, and then keep checking on them, and they hatch. Now, you can't do that with some of the more complicated species, especially one that's needed diapause, but it is as easy as that. The eggs need to be in some sort of substrate or medium. People have used a wide variety of things like vermiculite, perlite, dirt. I'm using Biodude terra firma for my incubation medium, and then just keep it moist. When you're doing a diapause, I like to keep it drier during the diapause because that's supposed to be the dry season. But you just got to keep it at just general moisture. A number of people get much more precise, and they'll measure the moisture and such. I've not gotten to that point. I've just kind of said, okay, yeah, that's moist enough. Thing is, you don't want it sopping wet. And then you just do what we've been doing all these weeks, checking on it every day, and wait for the babies to hatch out. Now, the way I have them like this, it's going to be a little bit harder to see every little step of the development. When you have them laid out like is traditionally done, you can see the calcium plates start to crack because the egg is expanding. You can see the slits, or well, actually first you'll see the egg, what we call sweat, and that'll be moisture coming to the surface of the egg. And then you'll see the star slit in the front. That's the baby who's cutting its way out of the egg. The baby comes out. Now that you can see each one of these steps when you have them laid out, you place them on vermiculite, all laid out individually, which is generally done. I do it a little bit more of a semi-natural way. And so we're not going to be seeing all of that, but I wanted to try this way. That was something that I really wanted to work with. Hello, Greg and Robert's channel. Welcome all. Roxanne has been absent for the past week. Okay, glad. Welcome back, Roxanne. So that is eggs in an eggshell. That's and it's pretty simple. The thing that you have to be ready for is when the babies hatch. that you're ready for all those babies. So many people, they have eggs laid and they sit around for 6 to 9 months. And then once the babies hatch, they start looking for a cage and stuff like that, and cage and fruit flies. The key is you start with the cage and fruit flies. Well, maybe not fruit flies, but you start getting the cages together when the eggs are laid and you know they're fertile. Okay, we're going. So that's when you start pulling everything together so you're ready for when the eggs hatch. And then you estimate when the eggs are hatching and you start your fruit flies about a month or two before the hatch date. Joker Twins is asking, is there a different timeline between fertilized eggs and unfertilized eggs gestation before laying? No. As far as gestation is the time between mating and the egg being laid. And with, I guess officially it's fertilization to the eggs being laid. So if you get these chameleons that store sperm, that messes things up. But once the female starts the egg development process, it will go forward whether those eggs are fertile or not. And so the gestation would be the same. What stage would you consider eggs to be fertile during incubation? So I wait. If my eggs are not fertile, I expect them to start molding up within the first 2 weeks. Usually it's just within the first week and they're gone and it's obvious, but I've had some of them hang on and not show signs for 2 weeks. But once they get past that level, then I'm pretty certain that they're fertile. Now, eggs can die anytime during the incubation for whatever reason. And if they do that, they will mold up during incubation. But if they make it months into incubation, then they were fertile. They were fertile. So Carson says enjoying the episode on the Kinyongya. Yes, we have them hatching. Ryan is adding his experience. Never seen any difference in gestation time. Usually tell infertile from size and no veins. So we will continue to monitor the eggs as they go, and I'll be very excited to do that. The brevicorn should be hatching soon, and so we're going to start showing how to raise up babies in luxury. So I'm excited to be able to show that. We are going to be working on demonstrating the small batch breeding program. And if you've listened to my podcast, watched my videos, you know that's really what I want to get involved in the next couple of years and include other people of the Chameleon Academy community with me. And so when those babies hatch, you're going to be seeing the first prototype. What do you call it? The first test system, and where I am going to have 6 luxury cages set up, one for each baby, and they're going to be raised in luxury from day one. And I believe that is the future of chameleon keeping, and at least the future of satisfying chameleon keeping. And I hope that becomes a trend. I think there will be enough joy in it that it'll be worth it to not have 20 to 30 babies when you can really enjoy and focus on 6. So that's where I'm going in all of this. Love raising babies. Yes, it's so much fun raising babies. I could be very happy raising babies, and I think that's what I'll do when I'm just doing this for fun. I'll just raise babies, sell them as adults. Yeah, I'll enjoy them through the kitten stage. Hello, Tia. Good to see Finland here. 2 lateralis eggs, little sunken in, but never molded. Over 7H. Okay. All right. We hope for the best there. Have you ever kept giant day geckos? Yes, I have. I have in the past. Now, I wouldn't know too much about their husbandry, though, because I kept them in huge outdoor enclosures on the island of Java. So they they did great, but I think it was just because, but I can't take credit for them doing great. Um, I'm terrified of babies. Oh, Nate, you don't have to be terrified. Mainly feeding them. The babies, as long as they're healthy, they are eating machines, and all you need to do is keep feeding them fruit flies, pinhead crickets, aphids if you can find them. Yeah, and I bring in both the fruit flies that I culture, and I put a little fruit pot there so the wild fruit flies come. And it's a lot of fun with babies because you don't have to worry about their intake, food intake. You just keep feeding them, and it's their job to grow as fast as possible. So just keep shoveling the food to them. So it is a very fun experience. And so once you've done it for the first time, you'll be addicted. And all of this, all of these husbandry things of incubating eggs or having live birth or taking care of babies, all of them are intimidating the first time. But once you've done it the first time, you know your way around it, and then you become addicted to it. So it only seems intimidating. Once you've done it, you realize, this is so cool. The big problem is when you try to bin raise babies, because then you lose track of how each one of the babies is doing. You have no idea how they are doing, and you start noticing some problems. You don't know what's going on, and that's because there's all these interactions and these stresses. That's when it becomes a nightmare. And that's when you start having to develop skills. How do I manage a group of chameleons? And really, that's developing skills in an area that is in improper chameleon husbandry. How do I make improper husbandry work? Obviously, I would recommend gain the skills in how to do the proper husbandry, and then you don't have to develop those other skills. Wait, you lived on the island of Coffeeville? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Oh, I did. All right, let's see. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, put them down there. But let's see. Bart is saying my wild chameleon escaped his cage. He was caged in the backyard. Okay, spent 40 minutes looking for him. Luckily, I knew where to look. He was on top of a tree and had to climb to get him. Thought he was a gunner. It is sometimes surprising how once a chameleon escapes, they don't go far. They stick right around where they are. Unless they feel vulnerable, they will stay where they are. So if you lose your chameleon in your backyard, then just wait until, look around, but wait until nighttime and then take a flashlight out there and look in the trees right around where the closest trees to where they escaped. And it's amazing how they stick around an area. So if your chameleon escapes, yes, I understand it's a panic situation, but rest assured that most likely the chameleon is still in the area and you're going to be able to find him at night. Now, of course, you've got hawks, you've got cats, you've got possums, raccoons, all sorts of things that could make that impossible. But of course, just rest assured that when they get out, they look immediately for a place to be safe. And being safe to a chameleon means staying still. So they're just looking for a tree, a bush, and they want to go there and stay still. So don't panic, but get your flashlight. Tia's finally started her summer vacation and enjoying time with chameleons. Excellent. Excellent. Stinky is back. All right. You're getting some recommendations for day geckos in the chat. All right. At What temps are too hot in the shade? Do you bring your Jackson's Chameleon baby? Ooh. Anytime you start getting into the 80s, you need to watch out. Now, you can get hotter outside than inside because you have breezes and such. And the larger the cage with a soil bottom and a mister system, it all depends on what kind of stuff you have on the cage. But I would start getting concerned at around 80 degrees. That's where it starts to, you start getting 85. I mean, that you've gone too far. You've gone too far. Nick's asking, good afternoon, everyone. Bill, how did the hopper hunting go? It was awesome. It was incredible. I had the best time. I only caught 3, but it was really just being with everybody that was a whole lot of fun and absorbing all sorts of grasshopper information from Dean Messimer. All right. So, well, here's some exciting news. I was interviewed yesterday in the Project Herpetoculture podcast. So next Friday it's going to be released, and we spent 2 hours talking all about the industry and herpetoculture and chameleons and where we're going and the future. And I think, yeah, you're gonna find out how deeply I feel about this entire experience and this adventure of being involved with chameleons and helping grow the community. It's definitely a hobby, but it's also a lifestyle and a life that we live, and something that I obviously feel very deeply. And so, yeah, it gets intense because I just feel so deeply about our community and building this community and building a foundation for the future generations. We're starting into a new chapter here of enrichment, and that it's just a whole new world. And you young people starting right now, you don't have to worry about your chameleon, whether it's going to live or not. That was my generation. I had to worry about that. We had to spend decades establishing how you keep chameleons alive, how you be able to breed them. But now, you guys, you have that information. You don't have to go through that. All you have to do now is learn all of that and go from there. And you are going to be creating an incredible future. When we're starting to go from having multiple chameleons, quantity of chameleons, and now you're looking at quality of chameleons and how to make their lives better, your setups are going to look so much better. Your chameleons are going to be healthier. And I'm just going to work as hard as I can to get us as far as possible. But you, the younger generation, you're going to be really able to take it home. And I want to be here as long as possible to see where you go with it. So we talked a lot about all of that kind of stuff, and yeah, it got a little intense because I feel very strongly about my place, my short little time here in the chameleon community that I have. We all have a short time doing this, and I want to make it count and get the future generations off to as good of a start as they can. So next Friday at Project Herpetoculture, I'll be on with the guys, Phil and Roy. Let's see. Go down, look at the chat. Carson's asking, those of you with acrylic sides are using RO water to keep hard water deposits off, or you just clean the deposits off every now and then? I will say, Carson, I am using RO water. I have done the thing where I have some solids in the water. The mineral deposits are a pain in the butt to get off of acrylic. I have a special acrylic cleaner. Oh, let me see if I have. Give me a second. Oh, yeah. PlexiClean. This is especially for acrylic because you can't use regular cleaners on acrylic, and you don't want to use paper products because it'll scratch the acrylic. So cotton and PlexiClean is going to try to take care of the mineral deposits on your acrylic sides. And that's what I use. It's worked. And it works pretty well. But boy, there are some deposits that just won't come off. Sheesh. Love the Project to Print a Culture podcast. Excited to see they got you on. Yeah, I was excited to be on there as well. Will it be on Amazon? The podcast. I mean, it's going to be on YouTube and your standard podcast provider. I believe when you're listening to the podcast, you find the Animals at Home podcast because it's a network and it's going to be on that feed, or you can watch it on YouTube on the Project Herpetoculture channel. Now, when that actually releases, I am going to be sending a bunch of links on Instagram. I will have a link. I'll somehow communicate how to get to it here when I come next Saturday, and we'll talk about it. So if you just hang around anything that I do, you will get a notification. You'll get a link that will take you to the interview. Okay. You are not going anywhere for a long time. No, Nick, I absolutely am not going anywhere for a long time. But in 20, 30 years, I may not have a choice. So yeah, I'm getting to that point in my life where I'm looking at, the future. Okay, what do I have left and how am I going to make that count? It's not like it's imminent. It's not like I'm thinking I'm going to fall off the face of the earth within the next couple of years. But if I want to do something substantial, with Chameleons, when you want to do something substantial, it's kind of a 10-year project to do that. So I'm looking ahead and saying, okay, how many more 10-year projects do I have ahead of me? And I'm taking a look at it, and I am budgeting my time and saying, what do I want to accomplish to make sure I actually accomplish it? And I mean, it's exciting. As much as I start thinking about, oh man, I only have 20, 30 years, I could do a lot in 20, 30 years. So I am absolutely not going to waste it. I've got so much stuff that I want to accomplish. So hang out here at the Chameleon Academy. We are going to be doing a lot. So yeah. Not saying all of this to be sad, but more of a being energized, because I think when you get to this point where you have so much experience that you have a perspective of the things that really matter, it's an amazing being able to use that to plan what you're going to accomplish in the next years. And like I said, in the next 10 years, hopefully in the next 5 years, I'll be able to have a prototype of what a small batch breeding community can look like. And I want to go beyond just having one breeder do the small batch breeding. I want to have a small batch breeding network. And I think that's what we need to do to make it work for chameleons, because chameleons give us 20 to 30 eggs right away. I mean, some chameleons will give you 50. I mean, and I'm not talking about veiled chameleons that do it because you supercharge them. And things like Jackson's chameleons, you can get 50 babies. So anyway, for the chameleons, it's going to take a community. And you all here, you're my community, and you're going to be part of this. So we are going to be doing it together. And I mean that literally. Yes. So, Okay, we got a lot of people talking about geckos in there. And Stephanie is sharing a milestone bonding moment with Kahuna. You got the poop treatment. Got any advice to keep ants out? They keep going in my chameleon plants and they eat his food. Silkworms, yes. That ants are a problem and they are very difficult to keep out. You can put the cage on stilts and or on a like table, and each one of the feet are in a bowl of water. But then you got to take a look at the wiring that goes to the heat lamps that you have over the cage. I took care of this by having, when I had an ant problem, I would have the cage sitting on a table that had 4 legs, and each of those legs were in water. So the ants couldn't get across the water. And all of the lights and such were suspended above the cage. And the mister was not attached as we normally have it, because then you have a tube going up. It was suspended above the cage, so it shot into the cage. And so the entire cage was isolated from ants being able to get to it. And that worked for me. Now, that was an awful lot of effort to go through, and the bowls of water by the on the legs had to be maintained. There's evaporation, there's leaves that fall into it. So yeah, it's a lot of effort dealing with ants. Oof. The Academy has already made such a contribution to the hobby, yet more to come, more to come. Absolutely, Stinky. We've got so much more to do, and I'm very excited for it. Very excited. Okay. Moto Nick has that special relationship with his chameleon. Climb out and try to poop on me. Josu is asking, what happens to the chameleon when it makes a saliva bubble? So that's because there's mucus or stuff in the airways. Now, the immediate response is probably, respiratory infection. And that's good chance that may be the issue. There's a number of other things that can happen that can create this, but the first immediate thing that I would look at is whether your chameleon has a respiratory infection. And that would be something that you consult with your vet. And it will take antibiotics to try to knock this bacterial infection down. So this is a vet time, and it's time to go to the vet before it gets bad enough that your chameleon has sunken eyes, closed eyes, and is lethargic. This is where we chameleon people need to work off of our feelings, and we feel something is off, but we're not sure. That's the perfect time to go into the vet and get the medicine and start treatment, because that's the time where the treatment will be very effective. So you're saying, but wait a minute, what if it's a waste? Unfortunately, the perfect time to treat an illness is when you're not sure the chameleon has the illness, because that's when the chameleon is strong enough to hide it. And yes, you could at some point mistake it, but it just comes. It's just something you've got to do when you have a chameleon. Is you've got to develop that sense of, okay, something is off, and I'm going to trust this feeling. And you have to trust the feeling. And yes, you could be wrong. And yes, I have had trips to the vet that were a waste of time, and my vet said there's nothing wrong here. That's actually the best scenario for going to the vet. But it gets to the point very quickly that you understand the signs and you need to trust your feelings and go take care of it. And if the chameleon seems completely healthy throughout the entire regimen, good. That means you caught it soon enough. So, let's see. Emailed you about my UVI exposure video monitoring project. Yes, I remember that, and how I need data. Is there a way I can ask your community for images and videos? Don't want to solicit inappropriately. Oh, if you have given me a description, how about this? Put together a description of what would be helpful, and let me know, and I can explain to the community what you're doing, and let them. And by the way, Is it simply giving you permission to go onto Instagram and use those photos? So basically, to the world, what Stinky is doing here is wanting to put together a system that you put cameras upon your chameleon cage, and the camera, the software, will track where your chameleon is in the cage for how long. And the idea is that you create a map within the cage of the UV index, so the UV exposure, as well as the heat, and you're able to watch what your chameleon does. So how long is your chameleon staying under the UVB and at what intensity? Now, Stinky, if I understand correctly, what you need images for is to teach the computer what a chameleon looks like, teach your program what it looks like. Is that correct? But if you give me a description of it and what you actually need, we can work on it. Oh my goodness. This is Yvette and this is Vixen. This is my cute Sheba. Say hello, Vixen. Yeah, she says, just let me down. Just let me down. Sheba, you know, those are the cat dogs. All right, have a good time. Joanne's here. Hey. Oh, good to see you. Weird Flux got another, got an Umbanja Panther Chameleon. And James Parsons Chameleon picture driving. Yeah, James has got some good Parsons Chameleons. Yeah. Joanne, thank you very much for the support. Appreciate that. Can he die for that? You're talking about a respiratory infection. Yes, they can die from that. Yeah, the overreacting is appropriate. Go ahead, and you have permission to overreact, because if you wait until they're further along, see what's going on with a respiratory infection is that there's bacteria building up in the lungs. There's always bacteria that is breathed in, and the body's immune system fights off that bacteria, kills it, and so the lungs are fine. But if there's something that happens where the immune system can't fight off the bacteria, then the bacteria starts to grow, because that's what bacteria does. And as the bacteria grows, it wherever it grows, the lungs aren't able to absorb oxygen in that area. So the bigger the growth area, the less oxygen the chameleon gets for every breath in. And that's why the chameleon starts putting his head up. That's opening the airwaves and opening its mouth so it can bring in more air, trying to get more oxygen in. But it's not happening because the bacterial infection is covering the lungs. And yeah, so the chameleon can die. What the antibiotic does is it knocks down that bacteria and kills the bacteria and gives the immune system the ability to catch up to the bacteria. But as we chameleon people know, there's a reason why that immune system was compromised in the first place. And we better fix that, or else knocking out all the bacteria isn't going to solve the problem, because the immune system won't be there when the bacteria comes back, because the chameleon's breathing bacteria in all day, every breath. So it's always there. It's not like all of a sudden a new bacteria was introduced. No, the bacteria is always there. And this is why husbandry is so important for us. And that's because the immune system depends upon our husbandry so it can be strong. Yes, the Doge. Oh. And Sneaky says, I'll send you an email. All right, wonderful. Go ahead and present it to the community. Talking about UVB, spent the majority of days under hers. Current 0.05. Is it UV index 0.05? Is that good or bad? 0.05 should be a UV index of 3, but it depends what meter are you using to measure. That I don't know, 0.05. What units are we using? That's right. Oh, Joker's Twins, thank you very much. Appreciate that support. Should I worry about stinky poops? This one was sometimes poops, especially the big ones, they will be stinky, and I wouldn't worry about it. And as with anything with a poop, I don't worry about it until it happens over and over and over again. And as far as stinky, it's just something that they ate. Probably you want to have a real experience when they catch a lizard or a vertebrate, some vertebrate, then it really, you get a little bit of a stink there. The bulb is, you mean 5.0? So the bulb is a 5.0, is a UVB T5 5.0. If it's that, then you need to figure out what the distance is between the Chameleon's back and the UVB bulb. And this is a good thing I have a number of videos. Look for Chameleons UVB on the Chameleon Academy. And it's going to go into all about UVB and the distances and the different bulbs. And it's just a good thing to go through that and understand all the UVB. It's important for us Chameleon people to do that. It's a little bit of learning, but that's what we got to do. That's what we've got to do. That is what life is. So, all right. So we are coming to the end of the show here. I've done a whole lot of talking. Are there any other things? Please let me put any further comments or questions. We could talk about what's going forward. Yeah, Marsh-and bearded dragons have stinkier poop when they have parasites. Yeah, parasites will add to the consistency and the odor, one way or the other. How is your cohabitation project going? Or am I mistaking you for someone else? Well, I have been talking about making this enclosure here a cohab enclosure between a dart frog, a satanic leaf-tailed gecko, and a small chameleon. The dart frog is going to be probably going in next week. The gecko is almost through its fecal analysis. I do 3 fecal analysis to make sure they're clean. And the chameleon, I'm having a little bit of trouble because the chameleon I was thinking about putting in there had a problem, an unexpected problem, and so I am not putting them into a bioactive enclosure. Thing is, I need a chameleon that's small enough that they're not going to cause problems with the dart frog or the Fantasticus. Now, right now, I have a gravid female in there. And this is one that doesn't require diapause. And so if she lays eggs in this enclosure, well, then I know the Fantasticus and the dart frog are not going to be able to hurt a baby chameleon, the size of the baby chameleon. So I am going to, I'm going to let her lay eggs in this enclosure. And then I'm going to incubate it in there. And part of the fun of all these lives is we're going to see when babies start to appear. And so that's how things are going. A little bit, things aren't going as to plan, but I'm pretty happy with where they're going. See, talking about poops, my chameleon poops in his food bowl when I put something he doesn't like to eat. He has a plant he always poops in, but whenever I put something he doesn't like, he poops in his food bowl. Yeah, Bart, there's something about chameleons and food bowls and open areas of water that chameleons like to poop in them. Don't know what the reason behind that is, but it is something that we all tend to realize. So, Had Kahuna checked for parasites about 2 years ago. Maybe it's time for a recheck. Yeah, it's always a good idea. It's always a good idea because you never know what they pick up. And oh, by the way, before we go, something I forgot. I have a pair of yellow giant Parsons chameleons that need to find a new home. If you are interested in breeding Parsons chameleons or just having a pair of Parsons chameleons, send me an email at bill@chameleonacademy.com and we can talk about it. They are wild caught, although they are being treated. The reason they were with me is because I'm treating them for parasites, and I can't. I am getting through the treatment of them, but they do need to find a new home. That is the agreement. They're actually not mine. I'm borrowing them. And part of the deal is I am able to use them for my parasite studies, and then I sell them. So if you are interested in yellow giant Parsons chameleons, these are adults, wild caught. Let me know. Send me an email to the address below, and let's talk about it. Of course, make sure you are ready for adult Parsons chameleons. They are big. They take a lot. They're not necessarily harder than other chameleons. They're just bigger, and they need big stuff. And so just make sure you're ready for that. But let me know if that is something that you've wanted to do, because this is an opportunity to do it. See, missed the pothos background, but those cages look spectacular. Which pothos background are you talking about? There's a pothos. It's a different kind of pothos than the golden ones, but that's okay. You'd hope captive chameleons are a low risk of reparatization. Stinky, you might be surprised how many people are surprised at how many captive hatched chameleons actually have parasites. People do not check because they don't expect it, and chameleons can live just fine with a moderate parasite load. That's the way they live in the wild. There is a balance, and so just because a chameleon has parasites doesn't mean it's sick and doesn't mean there's a problem. But they do end up with parasites from various means, and it's amazing what people find. The people who have gone through my parasite course and started looking for parasites, there were some surprises. So yeah, it is worth checking. It is worth checking. And the treatment, you want to treat them when they're not showing any signs of sickness, because that means your chameleon is strong. The problem is with the direct life cycle parasites is if there's a few, then they can easily grow into a large number. And so, yes, it's worth it to treat your chameleon, even if he's not showing that he's sick, because he could get sick. So, but when they're acting healthy, that's exactly when you want to treat them. Oh no, female panther has pinworms. All right, well, at least it's pinworms, and you can treat those with fenbendazole, which is a very safe drug. So at the very least. So the real problem, which Marcia absolutely knows because she had to deal with it, is coccidia. That becomes a real pain in the butt. And actually, Marcia Ann had some incredible pictures of coccidia, the Isospora. I bought the Cebu Blue pothos from a new chameleon cage after seeing it in yours. They look great. Yes, everybody. That's a Cebu Blue pothos. It's a more of a rare kind of pothos, and I love it. Do you have a video on fecal test and collecting the sample? Weird flex. I do, actually, on my YouTube channel. But next week, Friday, I'm going to be releasing the updated chameleon parasite course. That is a comprehensive course that will teach you everything you need to know about parasite. Well, You can never learn everything. It will tell you the basics and get you started as to learning about parasites, the equipment you need, how to look for them, and the medications. And so that's going to be next week, Friday. And of course, we'll talk about that on next week, Saturday. All right, everybody, we are coming to the end of this. Love Cebu Blue. You'll be amazed how different the leaf looks after it matures and is able to have something to climb on. Yeah, I just been working on getting the watering of this one down. So I've been struggling a little bit about that, but I think I've got it now to where it's going to get the water it needs. And so I'm looking forward to that. But boy, it has come down. I don't know if you can see all of this. I'm going to have to clear that out to get my dart frog in there because I want to see my dart frog. But it is really taken off down there. So she got her first dose of fenbendazole this morning. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Miklo, would you recommend cohabiting 2 different species of chameleons in a large outdoor enclosure? Brookesia and carpet chameleons. Brookesia and carpet chameleons could work in a large outdoor enclosure. Now, so for everybody out there, generally speaking, do not cohabitate chameleons. Period. Just don't do it. Now, as is usual, when there's just a blanket statement like that, there are caveats. So one of the caveats is when you have a much larger outdoor, larger cage, like Miklo is talking about, and Brookesia and carpets, they have a little bit of different lifestyles. The carpet chameleon is going to want to be up higher and in and out of the bushes. The Brookesia, even though Brookesia do go up high, depending upon which species you have, so they could conceivably run into each other, but they are a little bit of a different life. I would be more concerned about having 2 carpet chameleons in the same cage than I would a carpet chameleon and a Brookesia. I'll just say that. The problem, and generally speaking, the problem with cohabitation is not that the chameleons, the thing is the chameleons, it's not that they want to be apart. It's if they are in the cage, they want to play their dominance role and they want to be dominant. And so they will find each other. So this idea that I'm going to have a cage that's big enough that every chameleon can have its own basking, its own watering, its own food, they can stay apart. The problem is they don't want to stay apart. They want to get together and decide who's boss and who has to leave. And unfortunately, once they do that, the person, the chameleon that has to leave never can leave because it's the cage. And so that battle continues. And that is the problem with cohabitating chameleons. And the question is, now, obviously they do it in the wild and they survive. How big is big enough? And that's a very difficult thing to decide. So it's problematic doing 2 chameleons. And so Miklo, I don't know. I haven't tried that. It is, I've talked about it. I've talked about possibly doing it. That was a scenario that I was going to do in this enclosure. And I don't know that I even want to try it. I think it could work theoretically, hypothetically, but there comes a time where I'm just thinking too much about it. And if it's not an obvious answer, I'm just going to stay away from it. So the bottom line answer is I don't know, but it would be more likely to work than like having 2 carpet chameleons. All right, everybody. Leaving tomorrow, get back Friday. All right, Nate. Safe trip. Where are you going? Work trip. Okay. Well then, stay safe. So, all right, my friends, thank you very much for joining me for this Saturday Talk About Chameleons. I love this community and I love being able to share it with you all. I will be going live next time Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific. And So take care. Give your chameleons a treat for me. And I will see you next time.